Hello, everybody. Welcome back to You've Been Josh with Josh. I am your host, Josh. It's episode 5, and it's also Halloween this weekend. Let's freaking go. Hell yeah. Very excited for Halloween this year. I don't really do things for Halloween anymore because I'm an adult, and with COVID happening last year and technically the year prior, because we're going on 2 years now, it just, we didn't go out, so I haven't done anything for a while. Last year I did a Halloween event on my stream. We did Layers of Fear 1 and 2, both games. And I don't do well with horror games, so it was a lot. And so this year, since I know that a lot of people want to see me get scared, I figured we play a couple horror games this weekend. Plus, we're gonna watch some bad horror movies on stream. I thought that'd be kind of fun. We got that all figured out today. Me and my mod and my best friend JP Java Palette. And it's all up and running and working. And so we're gonna do some horror movies. It's gonna be fun. They're really bad. It's like Lamageddon, Sharktopus, Velocipaster, Killer Sofa. Just a really shitty movies. But they're great because they're bad. You know what I'm saying? Those are the best. Those are the best. But yeah, I'm excited for Halloween. I hope everyone is going to have a great Halloween as well. I never celebrated Halloween when I was a kid. I grew up in a very religious family. And we never really celebrated it. And then I think it was my 8th grade, when I was in 8th grade. It was in my 8th grade. When I was in 8th grade, I got invited to trick or treat with some of my friends in middle school. So we were like, oh, let's go. And I think because I wasn't used to it, and I knew my parents wouldn't get me like a specific outfit. I think I just dressed up as like, I don't even remember what I dressed up as. I think I dressed up as like a clown, like a really ragtaggedy clown. Like it's you thinking back on like costumes from way back when, it was probably really, it's disrespectful and really rude, but I think I dressed up as like a hobo, like a homeless person, which is really shitty. But like, you know, like those back in, you know, like way back when you would see like the in movies, the like the clown with the bum clothes, and you have the stick over your shoulder with the bag and stuff like that. I dressed up as that because it was the only thing I could find clothes for. Like I just did colorful patches on it. It was basically a clown. But I remember I was like, oh, I'm a hobo. And like thinking about that now, you're just like, fuck, that's really fucking rude. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I didn't really go trick-or-treating or celebrate Halloween for like a while. My parents never decorated or anything like that. And once I got into like high school, then I started doing some more stuff with friends. Like we go out and we do like bobbing for apples and pumpkin carving and like apple cider and stuff like that. And around that time for like Thanksgiving, I would always do like bobbing for apples and caramel covered apples and pumpkin pie and pumpkins and stuff like that because of Thanksgiving. But we wouldn't do like the scary aspect. But yeah, like I never did that. And like now with now with COVID being the way it is, in the last couple of years, like I didn't go out at all either. So like now Joy and I, my wife, we didn't go out and do stuff the last couple of years. So like this year I was just like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna chill and hang out on stream. And I probably won't get dressed up. Maybe I will. I have no idea. But I just figured it'd be nice to hang and do some scary games and watch the movies, you know. But when I was younger, my dad still liked scary stuff. We didn't watch anything with like paranormal-esque things or demonic, but we watched like vampire movies and stuff like that, and he loved Dark Shadows, and that was a scary TV show for a kid, even the black and white one. So like I was watching that for a while, and it was pretty freaky. It was pretty freaky for sure, but it was interesting. And then like as I got older, I started watching more stuff, and it was interesting. like just the progression of how I started watching things, if that makes sense. Like I started with like Dark Shadows, the black and white vampire stuff, and then like as I in high school, I started watching like some Saw movies because I had friends who liked that, and then I started watching um like The Conjuring and stuff came out like towards like in high school. And so I started watching those, and then I watched Annabelle, and then like I watched a bunch of other horror movies, and then I watched bad horror movies, which I fell in love with, and then shark movies, and it just kind of progressed. And I've really come to enjoy like the horror genre, um, because I feel like I didn't see it for a long time, um, but I really like horror movies. They're like one of my favorites. And so for like Halloween every year, I always try to watch some scary movies. Like Scream. Oh my god, the whole Scream series I love. Final Destination, super good. Joanna actually watching those right now again. It's the first time for her, but not for me. But we're watching them over. I'm watching them over again with her. Um, the Halloween movies, those are great, of course. Just like the Evil Dead, so good, so good. All the Stephen King's stuff. And that's the other thing. When I was growing up, because I didn't get to do the whole Halloween aspect, I would read a lot of Stephen King books. I would love them. I loved watching those, and I think I got to see it, like the old one, with my dad. I think he and I watched that. But it's just an interesting the way the way my exposure to horror progressed over the years. It's just been interesting. Um, but yeah, they've always been my fave. But horror games, no. I've talked about this so many times on stream, but I can't do horror games. I mean, I can. I do them every once in a while, but just the feeling of being in their shoes, I can't handle. Like I can watch the TV and I love being scared and I love seeing these characters, but I know they're not after me because I'm sitting on my couch or my bed or whatever, It doesn't freak me out. But feeling like I'm the character, I can't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just can't do it. It's feeling of chased, being chased. Oh, it's freaky. Can't do it. can't do it. Um, but yeah, no, costumes. I'm sorry. I'm checking my pancake list, my list of notes. Costumes over the years, like I was saying before, with like the bum outfit. But then I think I'm trying to think of all the costumes that I think one year I dressed up as I went through a phase of just shopping at Spencer's because I liked how like obscure their stuff was. Because at the time of being in middle school, I was just like, oh fuck yeah, like I'm I got so much teenage angst. I want to be different. Even though now I'm thinking of like all the stuff that's at Spencer's, and I'm like, fuck, man, why did I choose that? But I had like Cookie Monster, Elmo, uh, Oscar the Grouch, Animal from the Muppets, like those types of T-shirt, like graphic tees, and like and fucking snapbacks. And so I think one year I just dressed up as like all Cookie Monster. It was like it's the lowest of effort choice for a costume, but like, and I didn't even like act like the character. It was just like I had the blue shirt with Cookie Monster's face on it and a hat, and I was just like, hell yeah, so fucking stupid. Um, what else? I dressed up as like Superman the one year, but like it was a onesie, like a pajama onesie, because that was another lazy effort. I remember one year specifically, and I was very proud of this because I needed an outfit, and I was like, I don't know what to wear. I don't have the money to like put in like a really cool outfit or whatnot, and I wore long khaki pants. I wore this like purplish pink shirt that was a button up, and I taped I taped the front and the back of a Raisin Brands box on my shirt so that way it kind of blended in together. And I stuck a plastic knife through the box and had like red dripping down from the box, looking like it was bleeding. And I was a serial killer. I was so proud of that one. I was a serial killer. I had that. That was interesting. I'm trying to think what else. I dressed up as Flint Lockwood from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs with Joy. I dressed up as Gomez Adams with Joy. She was Morticia Adams. That was fun. Um, I'm trying to think of all the times that I dressed up for Halloween. I can't remember them all because sometimes I would just have a party and we would just go and hang out with everybody. We didn't do like costumes. But yeah, no, it's just interesting. I love to hear what you guys have dressed up as. So if you don't mind, tweet at me or message me on the Discord, DM me, whatever works. The list of all the things you dressed up as, because I think those are always interesting. I wish I did more as a kid. I really wish I did more for Halloween as a kid, but of course, like different situations, I guess, called for different things, and because my parents weren't keen on it when I was younger, I was just like, I didn't put that much effort into it, and I didn't want to ask them to go anywhere. You know, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go too far, but I always loved going to like the Halloween stores that pop up every year. Can't remember the name of them. I can't remember the name of it, but you know, people in the U.S. I don't know if they have it in Europe or anywhere like that, but you know, like every year around this time, they have the Halloween stores pop up with like all the decorations, the costumes, the like the fake blood and the props and stuff, and the automatic like machines you can put out in your yard. The ones that you stand at a certain spot and they jump at you and shit. Those were so cool to go to. Even if you're not going to buy anything, they're one of those things that since they only come out for like a 2 month period of the year or 3 months, I can't remember. You can just go there and like check it out and like see all the kinds of new things they've come up with. 'Cause some of them are really cool. Like I love the animatronic like contraptions they've come up with. There was one that I saw that was really creepy. That was like a fake door, and it's supposed to like freak if you have like a porch, it's supposed to be like, oh, go to this door. And when you go to like you build it so it looks like it's the door to your house, and when you ring the doorbell, something pops out, like the door opens and things pop out. And I forget how like what it was. I had to find it and like post it in the Discord. But holy crap, it was so spooky. And like I think it was like $5,000 or something like that. Like it was expensive. But I just always like going in there and checking it out because, like, you know, it's a once a year thing, and that's something I talked about on stream like just a little bit ago, was the fact that like some people start Christmas music and like Halloween decorations or Christmas decorations super early in the season. And for me, I just can't do it. Like, if you want to do it, great, that's cool. Like, but for me personally, I just can't because I like keeping it in like a 2 to 3 week period because then it makes it feel more special when it's arrived. Like, I'll start listening to Christmas music right after Thanksgiving because like then it's that time. But like if I listen to it too much or if I do it too much, then it becomes super normalized, and then I can't do it. Plus, I worked retail, so Christmas music, holy shit. That's the thing with Christmas music. There's only a few good songs, and it's the older ones. And then people have come up with like newer renditions of it, so it's the same song. It's just done poorly. And so you listen to those music over and over and over again, and it just I can't do it. Can't do it. But then plus Halloween, guys, candy. Like you get candy. I've never been a huge fan of candy. There's candy that I do like. I just don't necessarily go out for it. I think the only time of year that I actually eat candy is during Halloween. I'm more of a pastry and baked goods kind of person. Like I'd rather like, oh, I'll have a brownie, or oh, I'll have like a slice of pie or something like that. Preferably apple. But like candy, I don't really go after because normally it's way too sweet for me. But yeah, like there's that candy that you always get that you're super excited for Halloween. I'm trying to think of something like what your favorite candies? Twix. I love Twix. Kit Kats. Those are delicious. I love a lot of the Hershey products like Mars bars, Hershey Kisses, and stuff like that. Those are super good. I guess chocolate covered pretzels. I love chocolate covered pretzels, but that's not really something you get during Halloween, you know? Twizzlers. Oh god, Twizzlers, super good. I also am a huge fan of black licorice. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love black licorice. Anise, the herb, I guess it is, the seed, the star anise. Love that stuff. So good. I like a lot of gummy candies like gummy bears, gummy worms, peach rings. Those are really good. God damn, I'm trying to think of some like Hubba Bubba. The gum, that's really good. Double bubble, fucking fantastic. Skittles, Mike and Ike's. I love Mike and Ike's. Those are really good. Man, I'm just thinking of candies, man. Something that does piss me off. Something that does piss me off is apple candy, because there's so many, like the sour apple. There's so many candies out there that like try to get the perfect apple candy. You know, like they try to replicate fruit flavors and they always come out tasting like generic. And that's the one thing that I wish they could. I wish a company could nail it, because there are a few that I like that are green apple flavored or just apple flavored in general. But there are some that are just so bad, and I wish they were good. Like High Chews green apple, I really like. That's really good. Um, Werther's has like a caramel apple that's really good. Trying to think of what else. What other candies that are green apple that I like? I like I like the green apple G Fuel. Not sponsored, but wannabe. That's actually really good for flavor wise. They used to G Fuel actually had a flavor called golden apple pear that was pretty close to apple juice, which was weird. It had the pear flavor, but like it was pretty close to like apple juice, and I loved that. But it got taken away. They stopped selling it. Um, but like, there's nothing like, because if you have apple juice or something in that vein, like applesauce or apple pie, it's more like a cinnamon taste to it. Like they have like that kind of stuff. Like that's the kind of candy that I would like to have. I'd like to have a candy that has like a cinnamon taste. Like it's apple pie flavored rather than a green apple, because they always try to do that like sour because it's easier to replicate. But I always feel like they do a bad job. You know what I'm saying? And I want there to be a candy that comes out that's like exactly like an apple. And if that does happen, or if somebody in who's listening to this knows of one, please let me know. I'd love to try it. I need to do like an S tier ranking of apple flavored things. I should do that. I'll do that in the near future. I'll do that. I think that'd be kind of fun. But there's so many candies, man. Like, Airheads. Dude, I used to be addicted to Airheads. There's a roller skating rink that I used to go to. Love rollerblading. Um, that had Airheads there as like prizes for their arcade, and like I would get Airheads, and I was weird because what I did was, you know how like the Airheads are like the long strips and they're in that plastic. I would smack it back and forth like crazy until after a while the Airhead would shrink down into like a cylinder in the packaging, because it's like pliable, it's chewy. And then you could take it out and it was like a block, and you could put it in your mouth and just suck on it. That's what I would do. I don't know why, but it was just something I would always do because it's super fun. But I was never a fan of like hard candies either. I like the chewy candies. I didn't like the hard candies. I like Pop Rocks. That's more just like dissolves and then goes away. And like Smarties, I wasn't like a huge fan of, even though like I'll have them, but like again, candy. I'd rather have a baked good, but I'll have them every once in a while. Normally only during Halloween, but it is how it is. But let me know what your favorite candy is, because I like to know what you guys are like. What are you looking forward to for Halloween candies? They're like something that you're like, I gotta get some of this to take home. But yeah, I'm trying to move on to the new topic. I'm not one. This is the worst transition ever, but I'm not one to believe in ghosts and spirits. That was a worst transition. Let me know what your favorite candy is. Do you believe in ghosts? No, it's that time of year. Everyone's like, all the horror movies and stuff are coming out, and like, it's getting spooky out, and it's getting colder, and then the nights are getting darker, and it's just one of those things that people are like, oh my god, ghosts, guys. Let's have a seance. I'm not one to believe in ghosts and spirits, but like I'm open to the possibility that there is something. I've had a few things happen to me. Not like anything crazy, but it's just one of those like things where like if they're like, "Oh, have you ever had a paranormal experience? Have you ever had any paranormal activity?" Like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing that I keep thinking about. Like that's what whenever things not Thanksgiving, Halloween comes up. That's like the conversations that a lot of people start having, and I keep hearing. And personally for me, I've had a few things that have happened that are like hard to explain or just weird, but I don't like I personally have never had anything that's made me go, holy shit, like I can't, you know? But I'm like open to it. And like I know a lot of people have had things happen and I love the stories. I love hearing about these things. So like I'm open to it, you know? Um but I was going to talk about some of those things that have happened because I know people are going to be interested. And I was thinking about this when I was writing down some things to talk about. I was like, oh man, holy shit! And I thought back at some moments. I've said this multiple times, but I used to live in Gettysburg. That was like where I spent most of my childhood. And my family lived in a house that was around during the Civil War. Like it was an old house, 3-story house. There's a room in the attic that my sister stayed in, but there was both sides of the house. There was like staircases. The front one, which was the main one, I believe, was wooden, and the back one was like carpeted. But this house was massive, and it was creepy though because like I didn't know this, but way back when they used to use as like the plaster and stuff for the lining in the walls with horsehair. They used to use that because like it was easier to get and blah blah blah. Apparently, I guess, and they didn't have the technology and stuff back then that to make what we use now for construction of houses and whatnot. But I remember the one time I accidentally broke some of the plaster away from the wall. I think I fell or something in the hallway or something like that, something stupid. But some of the wall came off, like the plaster, the drywall, and there was hair in the wall. Like there was hair. And so my mind as a child, instantly goes to, there's a fucking body in there, dude. Like I was like, holy shit. I was like, there, like, mom. And so I ran downstairs. And I was like, yo, like, there's a fucking body. And of course, like my dad comes running up and like check, and he explains to me why that's the case. But like for me, that was like, holy shit. Like I was so spooked. But yeah, it's just super funny to think about now. But we lived in that old house, and there was just like it was very creaky and old, and like when you walked on the stairs, it was like, and the doors open and makes the noises and stuff. So it was a little scary, But as a kid, and we didn't celebrate those types of things or watch those types of movies, I never really thought about those things that often, so it didn't really freak me out. But I remembered because my sister lived in the attic. She slept in the attic. Her room was up there. There was still a huge bunch of like a lot of space right above my room that was just the attic portion of it. And it was weird because it was like an A-frame, like there was a slant in the ceiling going all the way down, and on the sides of the wall where the slant of the roof met the wall and then that wall went to the floor, there was drawers in the walls that you could like open up and store things for the attic. And at night, some nights, even when my sister wasn't, because I thought might have been my sister sleepwalking or something, but there was a couple nights where she would be at friends' houses and I would hear compressions in the floor above me like someone was walking, but it could have just been like the wind shifting the house or just the house settling, because it was an old ass house. So that's where I'm saying, but that's what I keep telling myself. But there was also like the weird creaking of like in a rhythmic pattern, like this someone was walking, and I could hear like the drawers opening and closing. Now it could have been something else. It could have been something shifting. I don't know. But like that was really what got me, was like it sounded like the drawers on the side of the wall were opening and closing. And it was just really freaky. But then another instance in that house that really freaked me out. And it's even creepier because I had a friend with me at the time. It wasn't JP, but it was a friend of mine named Griffin. And a sick ass name, by the way, Griffin. I had a bunk bed. Like the bottom was like a futon, but it had the top bunk, and I used the top bunk as like storage for some of my shit. So he was sleeping on the floor. I was in the bunk bed, like on the futon area, and we were just chilling, talking. And on the one side of my room, I had a closet door. And the closet door had one of those latches. You know the ones that you can like you flip up and then slide over, flip down, and it like latches. It's like one of the slidable ones. It had one of those. So there is no like opening and closing that or sliding and the door just opened. Like it's latched. It's fucking latched. There's no way that the shifting of the house or anything is pushing that open. You know what I'm saying? And I had it latched. Okay. So the way I'm laying down is my head's towards the wall that the door's on, and I'm facing my friend Griffin. And Griffin is on the floor facing me with his head being at the top of the wall where the door is. So like the door is in between us above our heads. So like if we like when we're lying down, we look up, we can see the door. Okay. I'm face level, like height level with the latch. He's a little lower than me because he's on the ground. And so we were chatting, talking, trying to be quiet because my parents' room was right next to mine. And we were just chatting up. It's fucking like 1 a.m. in the morning. We just watched the movies, hung out. We were talking about things. I remember we were laughing about, I think I had something on my DSi because I like, you remember the Picto chat, like graphics where you can make animation with just drawing and stuff and flip through it, like the Picto. I forget what it's called. I think it's Picto art or something. We were laughing about that because they have the voice effect on it. And at the time, voice changers and stuff for a child was really hard to get. And so we were messing around with that and laughing and trying to be quiet. And then we were like toning down for the night. I think we were talking about some like life stuff. I can't remember what it is, like childhood life stuff. Like, you know, sometimes I think that, like I was meant to be the president of the United States because I have feelings and I don't believe that anyone else has feelings. Like that stuff as a kid where you're like, I have feelings and they're really strong. I don't think anyone else has the feelings that I do. And I think I'm unique because of that reason. That kind of stuff. Childhood life stuff, the things that are totally not important, but at the time you're like, that's important to me. Thank you. But we were laying there and talking, and all of a sudden we heard like a creaking. And so we got quiet because we're like, what is that? Like, is my mom and dad waking up? And then we heard like it was coming from like beside us. So I look over at the door and the latch is going up. Like it's like wiggling and then like going up, and then it goes over and then it goes down and it slides. And him and I are looking back and forth at the door to him and I like, him, the door, him, the door, him, the door, and him, the door, then him, the door. It's like just going back and forth, like, is this actually happening? Or are we dreaming? And it slides over and it stops. And so now the door's not latched, okay? And we're just sitting there staring. And the door opens towards my friend. So the opening to look into where the door, like, from when the door's opening, the darkness of where you can look into the closet is from my eye direction. He can't see in, but I can. And the door opens just enough where there's just darkness inside. And my heart drops because my thought being, how the fuck is this latch opening? But then on top of that, I'm like, something's inside. Something's inside my closet right now. But before it could even open too much, I just slam that shit and latch it. Like, slam the door shut and latch it. And we just sit there looking at each other, totally freaked out. Like, just baffled beyond belief. And we didn't know what to do. We were just sitting there like, holy fuck. Like, Jesus. And then I think we didn't even talk about it. I think we just went to bed and were like freaked out and like didn't talk about it ever again. And Griffin, if you're listening to this, I would like to hear if this was just a dream of mine, because we didn't talk about it after. So it's very possible that I could have just dreamt this whole thing, but it's stuck with me. Really freaky. Really freaky. Holy shit. Man, yeah, that was it was freaky. I thought of that the other day. I was like, oh my God, like Jesus Christ. Also, my brain is completely scattered today. I've done so much all day today, and my brain is going back and forth. So I'm sorry if I'm just jumping over everything and talking too fast. My brain's on like fucking crack today. It's going crazy mode. uh, the only other thing that I had written down, because I had thought about it while I was thinking about stories to tell about freaky things that have happened. The only other thing that comes to mind was there was a period of time, not anymore, but there was a period of time where the number 1123, like 1 1 and then 2 3, were significant numbers in my life. I don't know if it was like a placebo effect of like I kept seeing it everywhere because I kept thinking about it. But when I was younger and while I was living in Gettysburg, I think it was like 7 or 8. I can't remember what age I was. I had a nightmare, and I had the same nightmare every day for a week. One of those weird ones. And it was so vivid. And every single night after the dream, I would wake up drenched in sweat and crying my eyes out with a massive migraine every single night. And it was for an entire week. And it was weird as shit. But it was a dream of me, a bunch of my friends. I remember JP was in it, and my family, and then a bunch of other people that I knew at the time, and some family members, and some people I didn't know. We're just walking in the desert during a sandstorm, like completely obliterated with sand. Like it's hard to see. You're just walking, you're struggling towards it because the wind's blowing and shit. And we were all trying to move towards something, but I can't remember what it was. And at one by one, people that I could see around me just started disappearing into the sand. Like it was like the wind, like they just were gone. Like all of a sudden, like they vanished. Not like they were sinking into the sand, but they were disappearing with like the sand blowing and whatnot. And it was just going one by one, they were disappearing, and then it was just me, and I was walking, and then all of a sudden it was black. It was darkness, and then there would be like a spotlight on one thing, and it was like a, I can't remember now. I want to say it was like one of those old digital clocks or a calendar. I can't remember which one it was, but it just had 1123 on it, like a 11.23. And it was just that. And it was just staring. Like it was a spotlight on the clock or the calendar with the date 11/23, November 23rd, or the time 11/23. I can't remember which one on that item. Spotlight on it. And then it would go black again. And then it would be a third person view of my room as a kid in Gettysburg. So I could see myself. It was like, if it was like I was like 6 foot tall and my head was like bent on the ceiling, looking down from the top of my ceiling onto my room, and I could see myself sleeping on the futon, but then above my door frame there would be a metal marble, and it was rolling back and forth along the top of the door frame, just back and forth, repeating back and forth, like back and forth and back and forth, and it would go like that until I would wake up. It was always that sequence of events for an entire week. And that's why I can still remember it, because it was so vivid at the time. And it was so freaky. I don't know why I was having that dream, but for the longest time, I just kept feeling like that was like a date that was coming up that was freaked out. Like it was going to freak me out, or like I was freaked out that something was going to happen on that date. I was freaked out that something would happen on that date at that time. And I remember that I always forget about the number or the date or whatever. And then something would happen on that date every year for like the next 5 years. And also I would see that number everywhere, like in movies, at the store, like other things. Like it would always pop up, and I would see it everywhere. And I still see it every once in a while. Like it's just odd that I see it, but like it doesn't affect me that much anymore. And I haven't had anything happen on that day for a long time. But like it was just something that stuck with me for a really long time. And like I'm not huge on like signs or anything like that, or like, like those types of things. Those don't, I don't really believe that type of thing, but it did freak me out as a kid because I was like, oh, something's gonna happen, and I was really weirded out. But I remember thinking about that because I was thinking about childhood and like things that freaked me out, and I was like, that is something that has always stuck with me, is like 11/23, like that number, that date has always been like super weird. But I've had things happen on those days, or I've had weird coincidence of meeting people who have that date as their birthday and they're a significant person in my life, and I find out that their birthday is that day after we've known each other for a while. Like it's weird coincidences that just occurred um for like a while up until like my senior year of high school, where that was just a recurring factor. Super weird, super fucking weird. Um, but anyway, if you have any freaky stories or if you have any weird things that have ever happened to you, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. I love hearing from you guys, so please keep doing that. Please keep tweeting at me and shoot me a DM if you want to talk about something, because I'd love to talk with you guys about it. Other things that I wanted to talk about was like just fears in general, because I feel like a lot of people have different phobias and fears because of certain things that have happened to them in childhood, or like when they were a little older, and like things that have now affected you now. Because for me, I have a couple phobias. Some of them are just like irrational fears, but some of them are actual phobias that probably some of you guys don't know about me. But one of them, I'm claustrophobic, like pretty bad. Like elevators don't bug me, but if someone hugs me for too long, or if I'm in an area and someone holds onto me, I get a little freaked out. I can't do caves at all. And I know exactly where this derives from, this fear. When I was a kid, I was hanging out at this church like relay group that we were a part of or whatever, where we would do like relay races and outdoor activities with a bunch of kids. And there were like teenagers that were running it as like counselors kind of. And I was a kid. I remember that was probably like 5 or something. And one of the counselors, which is a kid of one of my parents' friends, those giant plastic totes that have like the handles on the sides that you can throw like balls and stuff into. It's just like a plastic container to hold all of the stuff, like all of like the outdoor rec activities or whatever you want to put in it, I guess. But they were like the big ones. There was one of those, and I was putting it on my back and walking around on my hands and knees like I was a turtle, and pretending I was a turtle because I was a kid, it was just funny. And the counselor came over and sat on the tote, knowing full well that I was inside. He sat on the tote, and so I was like and it wasn't like, oh, I was walking and he just sat on it. And it's like, no, I like went inside to pretend I was a turtle. Like, I got scared and I went in, and he came over and sat on it. So then I couldn't move or get up, but I was in this, which was like just about my size. So like I didn't have much room to move around. And the only hole for air was the holes for the handles, the rope handles on both sides. So I was trying to get air, and I was freaked out because I couldn't get out. He was heavier than me. He was bigger than me. I couldn't get out. And I remember I was in there for a while. And I remember I thought he probably thought it was funny as a teen. I remember I did stupid shit when I was a teenager. But like, I in my mind, I want to say it was an hour. I want to say it was an hour that he was sitting on the thing, but I don't think it was that long. But it was a while. I remember it being a while. And finally he got out, and I was like freaked out, and I ran inside and like got my mom, and like I remember we went home, and I think he got in trouble. I don't remember, but it just freaked me out. And from this point on, from that point on, I can't do close spaces because I just feel trapped and it freaks me out. So I'm claustrophobic. I have a fear of heights. I don't think that derives from anything. I just like if I'm really high up on things, or if I'm like, it's only if I'm high up and in a small thing. So like on ladders, if I'm really high up on a ladder, I get freaked out. But like planes don't freak me out. Or being on a top of a cliff doesn't freak me out unless I'm really close to the edge. Um, like that kind of thing. So it's not like a huge fear of mine. It's just like, I guess, just the fear of dying, fear of falling and cracking my skull open. Um, the only other fear that I have that is like really prominent, besides like small irrational fears that I'm not going to even bring up, is the fear of open water. Like just water in general, like being out in water where there's nothing around me. When I was a kid, my mom's dad had a fishing cabin, like a fishing house off the lake, and we would go there and visit them. And I think it was like towards the end of like the evening, the tide was coming in. Me and my sister were off the dock, um, just like swimming, But the tide started coming in, and I think the wind picked up or something, and the waves started going really, really quickly, and it started pushing us down, and like kept pushing us down. Like the waves would go over and just keep hitting us and going down and down. And we were too small that we couldn't swim up to the surface. And I remember my sister getting underneath me and trying to push me up because she's older than me. So she had a little more, she was bigger than me. She could push me up a little easier. But we couldn't get up. We couldn't get to the surface because we kept getting pushed down by the water. And, I remember it getting so bad that like I thought I was gonna drown. Like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe at all. And I remember my dad jumping in and getting us and pulling us to the dock and like us having to like cough up water. I remember that vividly. Um, and so I think from that point on, like I've always been scared of like open water. Like I love swimming. I'm not scared of water itself, but like open water, just the fear of like not being like running out of energy and not being able to continue on and just going under. Like, yeah, you can float, but that fear of like, I've run out of energy and I still have a long while to go, like that, I think that's what scares me the most. Plus, I know that the ocean is a huge, scary place. Aquatic life is awesome and abundant and beautiful, but also horrifying. Terrified of sharks. 100% terrified of sharks. So that's another factor is like I don't like not knowing what's under me. I don't like not knowing what's under me. So so those two things play hand in hand with that. I think that one's my biggest fear. If we were on a boat, okay, I probably wouldn't even be on the boat. But if we were on a boat and someone pushed me off as a joke, I would probably pass out. As soon as I touched the water, I would pass out. Not because of any sort of reason of like like shock of being pushed in or anything like that. No, as soon as I hit the water, I would know that I'm in the water and there could be anything under me, and it could be a while till I got back on the boat. Instantly passed out, just freaked out, panic attack, done. That one's the worst one, I think, is the open water. But yeah, claustrophobic, heights, and water. And then like I'm scared of snakes. I've always been scared of snakes. I think they're awesome, but I'm horrified of them. Spiders as well. And then little things like irrational fears, like getting hit in the fucking Achilles tendon with a shopping cart and stuff, stuff like that. But those are irrational fears. But yeah, let me know what you're scared of. I want to hear. It's the season to talk about these things. Get scared because it's good to get that adrenaline. It's good to get that adrenaline pumping. Holy shit, I can talk. Can't I? No, I can't. It's good to get that adrenaline pumping in your body and get that scared feeling. But do it to your own. Do it in your own extent, because I know some people are scared of more things than others, and and that's okay. But like this is the time of the year. If you don't celebrate Halloween, at least have open conversation with other people about fears, because I think that's the bottom line for Halloween is just to talk about things that you're scared about and scared of, because we should talk about that kind of things. Maybe you'll learn something. I only recently remembered about the being stuck underneath that plastic tub. And I was like, that's probably why I'm claustrophobic. That's probably the reason why. It's good to talk about these things. But everybody, thank you so much for listening, as always. Sorry that today I was super scatterbrained. I'm like in a zone right now. I'm about to get off here, go in the Discord, do some trophy hunting, and then possibly work on some other things. So I'm just gonna keep going, keep grinding while I have the motivation. I'm in the zone, auto zone. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a fantastic Halloween. I hope to see you on Twitch, or hanging out with your family. Hope you have a good time with them or your friends. Be safe. Get scared. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys. Bye.